Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone. Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name's Chris Broome and I am your host. Today I am delighted to be recording and hosting another Mastermind Session where we have got three phenomenal guests for you, all talking about Oxford Brookes Racing, engineering, the future. So before we get into the questions and the narrative, let's do some quick introductions so our wonderful listeners and watchers can understand who we've got on and why we've got you on. So who am I going to pick first? I'm going to pick the guy that's just smiled in the bottom left-hand corner. What's your name and what do you do?
Sure. So my name's Joe Jones. I've just finished being a third-year motorsport engineering student at Oxford Brookes University. Cool. This is my third year on the Formula Student team, Oxford Brookes Racing, which we'll talk about. And in a few days, I'm about to restart working at Williams Advanced Engineering, where I will be working as a business development associate.
Nice. And Joe, I've got to say, Joe Jones, that's a strong name. That's like a superhero name, right? So I'm thinking like Clark Kent, Joe Jones. So it's a fantastic name and could definitely see that up in lights within the motorsport world. So,
all right,
Joe, thank you. Great introduction and thank you so much for coming on the show. And we're going to go to young lady. What's your name and what do you do?
Hello. Hi, Chris. My name is Ella Barrington. You've featured me before, which I'm very grateful for. Oh. So when I spoke to you last time, I was talking about my work as a consultant and a contractor. I specialise in operations and project management, but my background is motorsport engineering, so I still work with a lot of STEM businesses. But today I'm coming with a slightly different metaphorical hat on. So one of my roles is I am an associate lecturer in the Faculty of Engineering at Oxford Brookes. So I teach business and management to wonderful students like Joe.
There we go. Wonderful. Ella, thank you for coming back on the show again. And hopefully by the time this is aired, I can say your previous episode had fantastic feedback, the highest download numbers, but we won't know because it hasn't been launched. So either way, right. Marcus, introduction. Tell us about yourself. What do you do?
So proud owner of Silverstone Composites. We manufacture carbon fibre components for the Formula 1 industry. But around today's agenda, it's more about us supporting the future generation and sponsoring Oxford Brookes. I'm going to touch on a bit of that more today and what we do as a company to help those guys get to where they are.
Awesome, Marcus. Thank you for coming on the show. So, obvious question, what is Formula Student? What is it?
So, Formula Student is effectively a series of international design competitions. It's the biggest student engineering competition in the world. It's not official, but they think around probably 1,000 teams worldwide compete in it. And basically what it does is it pits universities students against other university students to build a single-seater race car to specifications. So just like Formula 1 has a rule book, we have a rule book that we have to work inside. And the fun of it is that you build a race car, you have it competing on track. You also have to justify the design and the cost case and all the rest of it as well. So it's a bit of fun, cool stuff with the car moving around and a bit of stuff with, effectively having to speak and justify why you've done things the way you have. But the kind of bigger, higher purpose of it, if you will, is to create the next generation of engineers primarily, but also business people and the rest of it for motorsport, but also for automotive, for space in aerospace, and it's the way to apply your learnings from the classroom to a real world experience of building a race car while you're still at university, which is, there's nothing else quite like it. It's quite fantastic.
Sounds phenomenal. And so you're in your third year.
Exactly. So I just finished my third year studying at Oxford Brookes, and every year I've been at Oxford Brookes, I've been on the Formula student team. In fact, it was probably the main reason I came to Oxford Brookes, was I went to a few other universities and they're like, oh yeah, we do have this Formula student thing somewhere in the corner, and oh, I think maybe we once had someone who went to Red Bull or something, not quite sure. And Oxford Brookes, well, Ella knows how the open days go. You know, quite quickly they stick you in front of a couple of Oxford Brookes Racing people to tell you all about the team. They show you some really cool videos of people racing and building race cars, which, you know, sells pretty well. And then they take you to the Auto Lab, which is the kind of big open space we have full of different race cars, Formula 1 cars, Formula 3 cars, and then the Formula student bay where we have our own little workshop within it. And then you get to meet the team. And I was effectively immediately convinced that Oxford Brookes got the whole Formula student thing, that the Formula student thing meant I could have tons of fun while at university and while learning, you know, the engineering. Also that there was a chance, this one person told me that if I tried hard enough, I could probably convince the university to go electric and create an electric racing car.
Nice.
So with those three things combined, I thought Oxford Brookes it is, and put it as my number one choice ahead of anything else, and nothing else was ever really considered, to be honest, for me.
And do they let mature students come in? Because I'm thinking I need to sign up for
yeah.
I'm going
They
to sack off my business. Tell the missus I'm going back to being a student because I want to build an F1 car or a Formula car.
To be honest, I would do it if I was you. I mean, we do actually have on the autonomous team, because we've also just recently started an autonomous team, someone who I think is, I don't want to guess now, that's a bit, I've dug myself a grave, haven't I? I think he's over 50, he's definitely over 40. And I think he actually worked as a lecturer in more like mechanical subjects at Brunel, and then decided, you know what, I want to do a master's and, you know, just do something different and learn some new skills. And he's joined the autonomous racing team. He doesn't know anything about, you know, coding or autonomous technologies. And he's been part of the team's success at the recent online virtual competition, which we had this summer.
Nice. What are some of the things that you've learned, or the biggest sort of takeaways over the last 3 years personally?
It's definitely a mix of the sort of, you know, actual engineering stuff. So especially in the first year, before I was doing quite as much of the sort of business element, you know, I was, well, even this summer, I was still going to Silverstone Composites, laying up, you know, pieces of carbon fiber, Marcus telling me I was doing it wrong, learning, doing it better, hopefully, that sort of thing. And also, like, in my first year, I did a little design project of the dashboard. It was quite simple, sort of 2D thing, but still, you know, using CAD, working in a shared assembly, the stuff that you don't actually do, you know, in your first year at university. At least you do a little bit in your second year, but it's nothing like working in a big team with a big CAD assembly. So I've definitely learned, you know, how to lay up carbon fiber to a decent standard, probably not worthy of Marcus hiring me, but, you know, good enough for a Formula student team, and a bit of design work. But then the other bit, which is the stuff that you really can't learn in a classroom, is what it's like to work in a team of, you know, in theory around 200 people, in reality probably around 80 people who are kind of properly involved. You know, with arguments, with disagreements, all the stuff that I'm sure you get to some extent in a real Formula One or any other you know, major Formula team. And that soft skills, the working approach, the dealing with sponsors, the dealing with things when they go wrong, especially also because in my second year I was kind of on the management team of 3 people who were leading the team in 2018. That completely transformed how I viewed myself, how I viewed my abilities, how I saw my future. Right. All that stuff Formula student taught me completely.
And how do you see your future?
That's still a big question. For now, very much excited about going back to Williams Advanced Engineering. So I did my placement there. Formula student completely helped me get there, because it's probably 70% of what I talked about in my 2 interviews there was what I did in Formula student, and I actually showed like a little portfolio of different sponsor proposals I made and all the rest of it. Yeah, I'm really excited to go back there. For me, I wanted to be in the electric vehicle space. So I'm actually not a kind of traditional Formula One fan. I didn't grow up watching Formula One. I only got into it in 2014, and it was the whole advent of Formula E and all the rest of it in electric motorsport that got me excited. So I want to stay for the short to medium term in the high performance electric vehicle space, and Williams is my way of doing that and having lots of fun doing it, hopefully at the same time.
Yeah, very good. Really good, Joe. Really, really eloquently explained. So thank you. Really good. Ella, let's talk about you. So you were part of the Oxford Brookes Racing team back in 2008. And now you're back as part of the faculty. So talk to us about that. So 2008 to 2020. What, why, how, who?
Yeah, so I came to Oxford Brookes for my MSc. So I did a Master's in Racing Engine Design. I'd previously done my undergraduate at Leeds. We had a Formula student team, and actually it was one of the earliest founded Formula student teams back in the kind of the early 90s. But it was nothing like what I experienced at Brookes. I, like Joe said earlier, did little kind of 2D projects here and there. And then my my undergraduate thesis was about, and it felt super forward thinking and completely amazing at the time, because bearing in mind, this is 2007 here. It was about future fuels for Formula Student and motorsport. And it was all about E85 and whether we could power cars off IKEA, like offcuts. And it felt proper blue sky thinking. And now I look back at it and read it and think, wow, that's changed quite a lot since then. So when I then came to Oxford Brookes, I thought I knew how Formula Student worked. And by that point, I'd been really lucky. I grew up in a motorsport family, and I'd already been kind of paid to be on race teams for probably 5 or 6 years at that point. So I thought I knew what I was doing. And I turned up at Brookes and was completely blown away by how cool everybody else was. We probably weren't at the 200 student mark at that point. We were much smaller. We were probably 80 to begin with, and then we slimmed down to probably a core of kind of 20 people. And then I always feel really bad saying this in front of current students, so sorry, Joe, but we went to America with ours. So we represented the UK. The Institution of Mechanical Engineers sponsored us to go out and represent the UK. So we went out to Detroit. We had, I think, 2 or 3 weeks out there. So one of the main things I learned was how to pack a shipping container, because we spent hours in that auto lab. Nights we slept in sleeping bags in the lecture theatre to get stuff done, because we had to ship our car in the end of March, which probably feels mad to current Formula student teams who just drive to Silverstone in July. So we had to get our car in a box because we had to be in America, I think the second or third week in May. So we spent all of these late nights, every hour of every day, begging people like Marcus to give us stuff to help us finish off. Put it all in this shipping container, sent it off, met it in America. We did all our exams. We did a couple of exams early, headed off on the plane literally the next day, opened the shipping container at the other end at a very amazing company called K-Tech, who did kind of NASCAR and IMSA engines and stuff. They gave us their workshop. We opened this shipping container and it was like a smashed set of Lego. And there was just nothing, because it turns out we thought we knew how to pack a shipping container. We did not. So actually, when I rejoined a race team when I graduated, and we did a lot of international kind of stuff in Australia and Asia and stuff, I became really, really conscious about how you pack a shipping container. So that's a secret thing you learn. So yeah, I had an amazing time. We did the US competition, we did the Silverstone competition, which is still going strong today, and then we went out to Formula Student Germany. We won awards at quite a few of them, and then yeah, it really did set me up for a career in motorsport. As I said, I was really lucky. I was already doing day rate, weekend warrior race team work. I was already doing placements at really amazing places. But what it gave me was, once you stripped away all that kind of professional kind of structure that you have around you that you're learning from, actually to be on your own, because you are on your own in Formula Student. The university supports it by giving it a space and providing kind of advisors like me to come in and every now and again, but it is student led. You know, you have to finance it, you have to build that team. As Joe said, when everybody falls out with each other, which is an inevitable part of building any team, you have to sort it out. You have to pack that shipping container. And it just taught me so much about myself as a person, as well as an engineer. And actually it set me up with an amazing support system. You know, the people that I travelled with are still, to this day, some great friends. I've employed them, they've employed me. You know, we ring each other up and say, I really need a really good systems and control engineer. Who have we got? We've been to each other's weddings. There's a few babies now. And actually, I think we'll all be retired old duffers still talking about, do you remember when we slept in the lecture theatre? So yeah, it absolutely played a big part in giving me the confidence to go out and hit the ground running in motorsport. And then, yeah, I came back down to Oxfordshire after kind of quite a few seasons in sports cars, and took on a role back in Oxfordshire. And I got back in touch with the university and said, I'm here, you might remember me. Some lecturers did, and I'm not sure they were pleased I was back. Some embraced me with open arms, and there were some really new faces, including Gordana, who's our head of faculty now. And she, after a couple of years of helping out with Formula Student and kind of giving advice and product and stuff through various people I knew, she said, hang on a minute, we're building quite a different way of teaching engineering management. Because as part of the IMechE, everybody, even if you're an engineer, you have to study some element of business and management, just to make sure that you understand how the world worked and it's not all just going racing. And actually, when I was there, fairly dull. I'm really sorry, it was fairly dull. I remember a big assignment being doing a health and safety risk assessment for an F1 pit stop, and that was it. And we spent like 4 weeks doing that, and I have to say I never used it in the real world. But actually now what we do, it's more like a Dragon's Den kind of thing. So there's different advisors, and particularly on the master's program, there's 5 of us, and we all come from very different elements of business. We've got IP specialists, we've got me on the operations front, we've got venture capitalists, kind of background people, and we kind of give lectures, but we also hand it over to students and get them for 11 weeks to build a business. Nice. So they have to come up with the idea, and in week 11 they pitch it to us, but they also have to invest in each other. So not only do they have to give that pitch and do that Dragon's Den and have people like me go, hang on a minute, your numbers don't add up here, but also they have to do it to each other, and they have to invest in each other to prove that they understand what makes a business or a race team kind of successful. Because at the end of the day, even if you are one of the kind of students that chooses to stay in pure motorsport, it's still a business at the end of the day. So it's really important. So it's really been great to kind of connect back in with the faculty and be able to actually give advice, and see people like Joe come up and really impress us. It's nice to be back. And also I think it's quite cool. I don't know, I might be putting words in students' mouth here because I'm not that cool. But I think it's really good for students to be able to have somebody like me stand in front of them and say, I used to be you can do it. However tired and crabby you feel you are after revising for exams and building that car, you'll get through it, you'll have a successful career, and you can do what you want to do. And I think that's really cool to be able to stand there in front of them.
Agreed. And talking about tired and crabby, Marcus.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I was going to use the old Duffer line, but that was about 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
I can't use that.
Don't mind.
Why are Silverstone Composites involved with Oxford Brookes Racing? What's the relationship there?
So when we started Composites, we always just thought we're just going to be a typical company, manufacturing parts, employ people, and do that sort of thing. And then some wonderful students from Oxford Brookes decided to get in touch and said, don't suppose you could lend a hand and give some support? And I was like, oh, what's this all about? never been involved in this. And not having a degree myself, going to university, I thought, oh, okay, well, let's give it a go, let's give it a whirl and see how we can support. And it started all really early stages where we just lent them the use of our autoclave to cure their car components for the race team, the car and things, and etc. And one thing led to another, and I just got sucked into the whole Oxford Brookes sort of way. And yeah, one thing led to another. We were a full-blown sponsor into Oxford Brookes, not just only sponsoring where we could with materials and resources and staffing, but also then giving mentoring support and giving structure to how we do things, to allow the engineers to understand how we do things. So when they go off into the real world from university and they get a job into a race team or an automotive manufacturer, they understand what suppliers go through as well as manufacturing departments go through in those areas, and give them the tools and sort of the skill sets of what we have, the struggles we have, and pass that on. And pass it on at the stage where they're absorbing that information as much as possible. So it's all translatable as they go on to their next journey into the real world. And yeah, for me personally, it opened my eyes up massively to understand how enthusiastic all the students were. They just wanted to learn. They wanted to take as much information, ask many questions as possible. And it was really refreshing, because going into an environment where you're so reliant on customers telling you what to do is almost the reverse of that. If you educate them to understand the reasons why and get expressed now, if you did this way, this would save time, money and cost, then in the future it's only going to be passed down from one generation to next. And that's what we saw in Oxford Brookes. They weren't just coming to us to go, give us all your free material. They were also giving us support and an understanding and teaching us on how to get our messages across as a supplier in a big world where we're so reliant on the customers giving us information, that we've got our own ideas and we want to be able to share that. And all the students at Oxford are our future generation. They are going to become our customers. They are going to become engineers. And the more we can help them now, the better it's going to be for the future, not only for suppliers, but also for them themselves, because they learn the struggles of what we do as a supplier, as well as a business, because we're so reliant on the engineers at certain aspects, because we are only the component manufacturer. But if we can give them some sort of understanding of how we do things, it'll just give them a better future. And then moving on in terms of the support we wanted to give me personally, yeah, it was just really refreshing, and sort of, I didn't think I was going to get sucked into it, but I have massively. And anything I could do more, as Joe will probably say, and most of the team members will probably say, I'm always open arms. Let's see how we can help. And also, because it is student-led, like Ella said, they've not done this before. So to get some sort of advice and support on financials and support from sponsorships, and seeing if they're actually getting sponsorship, or if that particular sponsorship deal is actually just taking money from them because they actually need some money to support their business. But for us, is then getting our network of people and sharing that with them as well, because at the end of the day, more heads is far more powerful than just a couple. And sharing those ideas and connections is, I think, have been massive beneficial, not only to us, because we also phone up. Sometimes I'll phone Joe, or it's a few team members. Joe, don't suppose you know anybody that does this? And they're like, oh yeah, we've got contacts, and they'll pass on the details, and vice versa. So it's just building up a real nice, like a team spirit. And that's Silverstone Composites. All of our staff here are all on the same team. But just to broaden that out with Oxford Brookes, and we're going to start working with other teams as well to be able to support, because the luxury is that I've noticed with Oxford Brookes is that you get a benefit from them. It's not vice versa. It's not a one-way street. It's that they give just as much as we do, which is really refreshing. And I think that message needs to be spread across to other universities as well. And I think that's just led from the Oxford Brookes sort of mentality, really, which is it's just refreshing.
So, Joe, you've been so you've gone into Silverstone Composites. So you've worked under sort of Marcus's wing, and he's shown you how to do stuff and etc. What's that been like as an exercise?
Well, for me personally, it's been fantastic, because up to working with Marcus, we might have the odd sort of advice from someone who might come in as like an alumni every now and then, which would certainly be useful. But in terms of actually, you know, we've got, let's say, 8 aero devices to make or something. We need to lay them up, and then we'll probably chat to Marcus at the beginning, maybe when we arrive, explain what we're working. He'll kind of point out maybe anything that we haven't like mentioned or whatever, and then we'll probably catch up, you know, kind of a couple of times during the day, and then right at the end when we've bagged up the parts and handed them over. I've learned lots of little tricks that, you know, none of us in the team had thought of before, you know, in terms of getting parts looking F1 quality. I mean, sometimes I'm like, wow, I can't believe that, you know, students actually laid that part up, because in my head it's like, you know, what only the tip-top dogs have access to. But, you know, through hard work and you know, working smart, let's say, as well, which is really where Marcus has come in. You know, he helps us work smart, not only in terms of the actual manufacturing of the bits itself, but as he said, in terms of our supplier network, you know, him utilizing our network, us utilizing his network. Working smarter has actually made our, you know, our parts better, our projects go faster, our chassis manufactured quicker, quality go up, etc., etc. So it's been transformative, and that's also the thing that I think, you know, Marcus touched on is traditionally, and I'd say probably still lots of Formula student teams sorts of work in this way, if not most, is you have an idea that, okay, we need X, Y, and Z to get our car made. We need to find companies who can give us X, Y, and Z, and then we'll be fine, and we'll make the car, and it will hopefully work. And that's, you know, that's our plan. When what, you know, especially in the last 2 seasons, so 2019 and 2020 with Marcus, you know, we normally chat right at the beginning of the season, if not before the season's kicked off, explaining our overall goals, our timeline, where we think we might have, you know, kind of bottlenecks in our process of getting, let's say, the chassis manufactured. And then we'll sit down together, we'll kind of reshuffle around the plan, talk about, you know, new suppliers who can come in, etc. And he's kind of there from day one. And it's not like, we just need this bit, let's ask Marcus. It's, let's work with him to make the whole process work better. You know, whether it's to help us with getting material or in the actual hands-on stuff of getting stuff made. So it's completely changed the way that we work, especially, well, in all our composite stuff at least. Yeah.
Marcus, well done. I've got to say, well done as a business to be supporting them beyond just sponsorship. I think that needs to be applauded, and I think if you're going to be offering that type of relationship out to other universities as well, they're going to be very, very lucky. So
yeah, and for us, it's because it's been a massive eye opener. I mean, which is, it has come from Oxford Brookes. It's not just me. It's the students that have sort of put that inside me. That ethos now is also then just keep maintaining, but not just us. It's also getting other companies to start thinking outside the box, because the more people getting involved in this and supporting it, is only going to help their businesses grow. Yeah. Because the more we support the youth of today, who are our future, yeah, they're only going to come back and look after us. That's how this world works. And yeah, it's been really exciting. And the biggest thing this year is the fact that 2 students that are in 2019's team have actually had drawings land on my table that they've designed those parts. So that's already done the full circle. And I actually WhatsApped one of them last night to say, top job on designing that part, because it came out perfect in our hands. And he picked up some of the points that I made back in 2019 and replicated that into designing that part. So it's already working, which awesome. is just phenomenal, and really refreshing. So yeah,
I think that's the bit that is actually kind of undersold in when teams are trying to approach you know, sponsors. And like I said, I think traditionally we haven't done by any means the best job. You know, actually before kind of 2018 when I kind of created a new, what we call the business development team, it was sort of always a bit of an afterthought sponsorship, when now we have dedicated people, you know, also not from the engineering department, working on our social media, you know, our marketing, our promotion, events. We have a team of around 10 people just working on this, not the actual designing of bits, let's say. Is that, you know, as Marcus said, the people who we build the relationship with Marcus And you're going to get new people coming through every year who are probably going to go into good jobs because they've been working in Formula Student and they've been the ones who stuck it out to the end. They will be the people who will then, when they're in, you know, in 3 years' time, maybe in kind of decision-making opportunities of where to send parts, etc. They'll remember Marcus. They'll remember his team being really supportive, having great knowledge, great quality of parts, and they'll want to send bits to Silverstone Composites. That's the first bit. The other bit I think is often undersold, which we, with Marcus to some extent, and also one of our sponsors, RPS, you can see down here, who are a 3D printing company. We've actually helped them refine a 3D printing technology for using as molds for making carbon fiber bits, which was it was kind of known it could be done, but it wasn't really refined and, let's say, proven out before they tried to, you know, sell the technology to customers. We've done that with Marcus, with the team, where now, you know, we kind of know the process quite well, and they're able to approach, let's say, a Formula One team and say, hey, look, this Formula Student team has got it to work really well for making X carbon fiber bit. You know, we can take it to a trade show, we can show you, and now, you know, we can sell it with confidence to you. That's the, you know, that kind of R&D aspect. I think the last 2 years we've really sort of embraced, as I think Marcus would back up as well. And then the final bit is the actual kind of, you know, promotional efforts, which, again, I don't think traditionally Formula Student teams do very well. They'll say, oh, you know, maybe we'll give you a social media post, or, you know, a small logo on the car or something, but that's only really a small part of the promotion. If you know, more than just a social media post saying thank you, you actually tell a story about what it is you've done with that company, you know, what the technologies are you've implemented, what the company's specialisms are, maybe you've done a video with it, whatever it might be. You'll then we have a network, the biggest network of any UK Formula Student team, of, you know, and often engineers or engineering associated people who will see that content and say, oh wow, using 3D printed molds, which have then been laid up at Silverstone Composites, and they've got this fantastic part, for example. That's great, that could apply to my business. Let me go and speak to RPS or to Silverstone Composites or whoever it might be. So I think we, in the last 3 years, have also found how we can benefit people like Marcus, and we know our story now that we're telling companies who want to work with us.
Joe, I've got to say, you keep your feet on the ground, young man. You're going to have a phenomenal career. Very, very, very impressive. And if you ever deviated away from your career path and wanted to get into financial planning, I would 1000% and bring you into my phenomenal world. But you need to stay on track, pardon the pun, and keep doing what you're doing, keep learning and listening, and keep your feet on the ground. But very, very impressive. Very impressive. Right. I'm conscious of time, and I know that you're all very busy. So, Ella, is there anything else before we sort of close off and I go through some sort of last 1 or 2 questions? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to cover off?
I just want to say, I'm in front of you in the queue for employing Joe.
I'll fight you for him.
I think there's quite a few of us in the queue. But I'd like to say there is also wonderful other students who also are amazing. But yeah, Joe has an incredibly bright future. It's obvious to everybody that comes in contact with him. But yeah, just sort of to summarize and just say, 12 years looking back, there's still sponsors on Joe's shirt that we brought in 2007 to 2008, you know, and they are big businesses and small businesses, and yeah, they see the benefits, and it is that two-way street. I still buy things. I can tell you all the people that sponsored us, and we didn't have the luxury of social media, I'm afraid, so we used to have to write thank you cards and everything. But yeah, it's an amazing scheme to be a part of. I will still buy stuff, and my network is motivated by those sponsors, and also just as an employer. And you know, we got to see really bright students up close and personal. When you interview somebody, particularly young graduates, what have you got? Half an hour maybe to make a judgment. You work with them over a year, you see them change. You can have that real impact, and you can take those ones that fit into your business. It is a remarkable program, and I feel like sometimes it sounds like I've swallowed the Bible on it. I've been a judge, I've been a student, I've been a faculty advisor, but it is an amazing program. It changes lives. I think that is not an overestimation. So I'd encourage everybody to get involved in it.
But also it does require the support of and the structure of the university to understand really what are they trying to get out of graduates. And I think this is where Brookes, I believe, succeeds, is they know what actually makes a sort of complete graduate who, you know, a company is going to want to employ, and the stuff that you can't just teach them in the classroom really is a big part of that pie that makes someone employable. I don't know, but this is from what I've seen in terms of, you know, my colleagues and classmates who have, you know, got employment. And Brookes, and, you know, having people like Ella on the course is designed because they know that they need to stay relevant. They need to keep that sort of industry focus of the stuff that they teach, and not all universities, I don't think, you know, completely get it to the level that Brookes does.
Good promotion for Brookes as well. So very good. Right, let's close off with the last couple of questions. Ella knows what these are because we did this a couple of weeks ago. So we're obviously going through a COVID moment where there are certain things that we're not able to do at the moment. So what are you personally looking forward to doing the most in a sort of life beyond COVID? So it's 2021. We've all had our injections. We're all immunised. What are you personally looking forward to doing the most? Well, I'll start with Marcus.
Probably just a holiday.
Mm.
Owning your own business, trying to keep business alive, keep staff employed has been tough. So yeah, just to have a break from all of it. As an MD of a company, it takes a toll on us. Everybody's been furloughed, but I haven't. So yeah, to have a break would be nice. Spend some time with the family. But also get the FS20 car built as well.
Yeah.
Former student car. Finally finalised. We got paused on that, so that'd be good as well. So yeah.
Joe, what about yourself? What are you looking forward to doing?
So first thing I was going to say was holiday, but I'm not going to say that anymore because my mum really wants to go to Greece, so that'd be nice. And Formula Student 2021, I can't wait to be there, and I'll put on my old, you know, Oxford Brookes uniform, or however way I can blag myself into the pit lane for the 3 days and take off holiday from work. I will be there 100%. Probably the third bit. So as well, Ella probably knows, there's around half maybe of the master's students at Brookes are Spanish, and, you know, Marcus will know, like, lots of the guys who come to lay up bits Spanish. So I'm probably looking forward to going to reggaeton night in Oxford and being able to hang out and dance with lots of the OBR20 Spanish crew to some Spanish music. That will be good fun when we're allowed to do that again.
Marcus, are you going to be there dancing? Your dad dancing?
Yeah, of course. We're throwing some shapes, yeah.
Oh, great. All right. I'm holding you to that. Yeah.
So when you guys do the thing next year, am I allowed to come into the pit? Can you get me invited to that? Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if not, it's only like 20 quid for tickets for the weekend, which is the cheapest motorsport event anyone can go to. So.
And it's held at Silverstone.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fine. So it's on our doorstep. So.
Chris, we're always looking for business judges. We come and spend the day with people like me, and you get to see all of the different student presentations.
Nice.
Get to grill them, and yeah, just test whether
and I get to spend the day with you, Ella.
I'll bring as many cups of tea as you want. It's a real.
Can I get one of those really cool t-shirts that Joe's wearing?
Ooh, these are like gold dust.
Are
they? Yeah. We'll try sneak you one if possible. Yeah.
Come on, Joe. Sort one. Right, Ella, what are you looking forward to doing the most? Remind me.
Well, I think I'm the same as Marcus. I'm really looking forward to a holiday. Running a business through a pandemic, and I'm sure you know as well, Chris, it's not been easy. There was a hard time at the start when you were just trying to work out how to keep things afloat. Everybody else got sent home from your business, but you were the one that kept having to do everything for everybody just to keep it survive. And we've been really lucky over the last kind of 4 to 6 weeks. It's just gone absolutely bananas. We can't stop. I think a lot of people had time to reflect on their business and want to make it better. So we are really, really busy. So I can't leave now, but I am hoping it'll all settle down. And yeah, I'll be on some sunny Greek beach waving at Joe's mum.
Yeah. Just don't go.
Nice.
Don't go to Mykonos with Harry Maguire. That's all I'd say. So, anyway, right. Last question, and this is the most serious of all the questions that I've asked you, and Ella knows what's coming. So you've got to prepare yourself and really think about this before you give me an answer, especially Marcus, because I think Marcus is going to land pretty well with Marcus. So I'm going to do a drum roll. What is the king of crisps? Go.
Ketchup flavoured Pombears that you get in mainland Europe.
Pombears. Good shout. Marcus.
So I'm a big crisp lover.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Favourite crisp, but to choose. It's the salt and black pepper multi-shapes from, you can get them in different like shapes and things. You can get them from Waitrose or M&S or something. But yeah, they're nice.
You look like a Waitrose shopper. I could see.
Fancy.
Waitrose. Sorry, Joe, what did you say? I interrupted you.
I just didn't realise Marcus was so fancy with his Waitrose cracked black pepper and Malden sea salt, you know.
Look,
They're just nice. It could be anything, but Tesco's, Aldi.
This is what this interview is all about. It's not about racing. It's about getting to the heart of what's really important to people. And Ella, what was yours? Easy what's it from memory, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and I'm not deviating from that answer now.
Okay.
It always and forever is a what's it.
I think we were discussing cheesy what's it and dairy sandwiches. If you haven't had one of those, it's a game changer.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Obviously, it's got to be really unhealthy. Anyway,
yeah.
Right, I'm going to pull this interview to a close. So thank you so much for coming on, Joe. Really, really impressive, really articulate. I wish you all the success with your career, and I look forward to eventually meeting you in real life at some point. Ella, good sport. Thanks for coming back on the show and helping to organise all of this. Marcus, of course, great to have you on the show for the first time. It'd be really good to get a one-on-one interview with you. If we can, before we get to our 100th episode, it'd be good to get you in on that so we can have a gas bag again about Silverstone Composites. So basically, everybody watching this and listening to it, please leave us a review on iTunes if you've got an Apple iPhone or an iTunes account. By doing that, it gets us up the rankings with iTunes, and more people around the world, not just the UK, can obviously listen to this. And obviously reshare it. Everybody at Oxford Brookes, if you're watching this, obviously reshare it. We're going to try and get this in front of as many students as we possibly can to encourage others to not just engage with Oxford Brookes, but also other universities and other sort of race competitions and all these sorts of organisations. And so thank you very much for coming on the show. Hopefully see you all very, very soon.
Cheers, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.